Are you ready to learn life-changing strategies on how to bully-proof yourself, your kids, and others? Are you ready to be empowered with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in yourself, to overcome your fears and battle through your challenges, to stand up to any bully you face, both real and in your mind? Well, you've come to the right place. Greetings, everyone. Master Grogan here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Oh, man, do I love that intro. That's good stuff, isn't it, folks? Woo-wee. Pumps you up, pumps you up. Well, if you're watching the live stream, thank you very much for watching. I'm recording a little late. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But boy, oh boy, I wanted to come on. I just left, just got home, actually, from a men's church retreat, men's night out. And it was fantastic. We go to Bayside Church here in Palmetto, Florida, and I mean, it was, I don't know how many thousands of men were there. Golly, it was great on a Friday night at that. But the message was outstanding, the music was outstanding, and the meet and greet, and so many people were getting baptized. It was a fantastic event, and I was going to hold off, but man, it was just. I had to, I'm like, you know what? I'm going up in my office here and recording this podcast, which, by the way, is episode number 327. And the podcast is also being live streamed to our Facebook page. So some of you are watching that right now, and our YouTube channel. And if you jump on, make sure you say hello, which reminds me, I better turn the chat on for, for those that pop on and want to say hi. But, I just wanted to get right into it. Now, listen, I want to apologize. It's been, oh my goodness, probably 3 weeks since, people already pop it on. 3 weeks since I've done a live stream or a podcast. I just kind of, no excuse, a good excuse. So I'm not going to waste an excuse on you. Just let you know that I've really been focusing on getting things together, I really want to take the podcast, the live streams, our message to a much higher level in order to impact, hopefully thousands upon thousands and possibly millions of friends out there that need to hear the message. Well, I titled this one is The Process of Life Change Starts with a Crisis. Now, I'm like everybody else. I don't like crisis. The crisis usually means, oh my gosh, something's got to change. It's got to change right now. And you kind of get in panic mode and, oh my gosh. Well, the truth of the matter is, and I'm going to share a personal crisis with you, when we decided we were going to move to Florida. Yeah, we decided we're going to do it. You may say, that doesn't sound like a crisis to me, man. Well, the crisis was we had our martial arts academy that I'd spent 26 years building, and what were we going to do with it? I'd always planned and anticipated that it was going to our kids. Well, our kids were coming with us to Florida. So what do we do? Well, Nathan, we've been who owns the academy now, we'd been priming him for years, but at the time he wasn't exactly sure if it was something he wanted to do. I was like, oh my gosh, well, what are we going to do? Major crisis mode. Well, a crisis is where the life process or life-changing process starts, because and this is just following straight along with what the preacher had talked about tonight. He talked about a lot of times God will give us a crisis to help force us out of a comfortable setting or force us to battle, determine our grit and our character, and find out what we're going to do to make a situation better. Because, a lot of times crisis is we were focused on, man, I just want things to go back to normal. Well, things rarely ever go back to normal after a crisis. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times it's a good thing because it pushes us out of our comfort zone, and the change that we've been needed to make for some time actually happens due to the crisis. But it is tough. It is painful. And it does change our whole world, so to speak. Well, back to the story with Nathan, we had we would always talked and had good conversations, but we really had a heart-to-heart talk about where things are going, what we'd like him to do. And obviously, at the end of the story, it all worked out extremely well. We are able to sell the academy. He's still continuing to grow it and doing a wonderful job, and allowed us to come to Florida like we'd wanted to do for some time. And now I can focus more on, I've released my 2 books this year or last year. It's 2023. Holy smokes. What am I going to do this year? I launched 2 books last year. Well, anyway, Becoming Bully Proof, and then the I Believe in Me positive affirmation books. And I'm showing them for those listening just to the podcast. You're unable to see them, but go to, you can go to our website, grogansbullyproof.com, and pick up a copy, or just go right to Amazon, type in my name, Rich Grogan, and it'll pop up. So back to the crisis. So there was some monumental changes. So I tell you this because here's all my notes. I just take notes, especially at church or anytime I'm uh, well, a place where I can receive some type of knowledge, wisdom, and education, which is just about everywhere. But he started off tonight talking about the process for change, for life change, true meaning change is a crisis. And kind of wrote up in the show notes there, you said, you saw, we all hate crises. They're never pleasant, and they always require us to adjust something in our life or change something about ourselves to get through it. And we're forced to get tough, display a lot of grit, and battle through the crisis so things get back to normal. And as I mentioned, they rarely ever get back to normal, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because it pushes us to a newer level. So we talked about, the crisis. Um, and I almost titled the video, this is my next line of my notes. It says, it doesn't matter how good you look on the outside, it's what's going on the inside that really matters. And that was actually when I first typed up the notes here. That was going to be the name of the podcast here. But I decided the process of life change starts with a crisis because it's talking about more than just what's going on the outside or the inside. And a lot of times we can fake it, right? On the outside, oh, it's all good, all sunshine and rainbows. There's nothing wrong with me. I'll be 100% honest with you. This last month was a little tough. I mean, everybody's got their own problems, and I'm not here having a pity party by any means. But I was drifting. I was kind of sliding off the path I needed to be on, and but on the surface, it's all good, all good. I can't show pain. I can't show that I've got problems. I can't show this and that. And there's part of that to a degree is good. I mean, everybody's got their own troubles. You don't want to burden them with yours, but at the same time, also got to realize that when you need help, you need help. And the help I need came in the form of last week's message was from John Maxwell, which I'm going to talk about on an upcoming podcast. He talked about salt and light, how salt adds value, adds something of significance. And light, of course, brightens everything up. So we need to be salt and light in other people's lives to create value, hope, faith, belief, love, and then brighten that light to let them believe and learn to believe that about themselves. So we'll talk about that on another upcoming podcast, but that's a little tease for you right there. But the true, back to the inside outside, we can fake it all we want, but if we fake it too much, we end up becoming a fake, which is no better than, I guess, no better off than where you were before, right? Yeah. So the outside, yeah, sometimes we got to put that shell on. But if we get to the point where we're covering up too much, we're wearing a mask all the time, and we're not sure who we are because on the inside it's turmoil, we got to get that, and that's crisis, right? We got to get it fixed. You can't just continue to ignore it. And I talk about if you've got a cut on your arm or your finger, and you just ignore it and ignore it, ignore it, and you don't do anything about it. Sooner or later, that small little cut's going to get infected. Now you got a big problem, right? If we just would have taken care of the problem in the first place. Well, easier said than done. And sometimes God will send little crises at us, and we won't do anything about it. Another part of my notes here, which really amplifies that point, is, let's see if I can find it here. Oh, oftentimes we don't hear God in the light. We only hear him in the heat. Ooh, think about that. When he turns the heat up on us, wow. So how do we take the crisis and take it to the next level to get beyond the crisis? I wrote down that, one, a lot of times our biggest problem is not in anything in the world. It's not in our job, not in our spouse, not in our relationships, not with our kids, not with anything in this world. But our biggest crisis, ready for this one? Hold on, folks. This is going to be a right hook reality. Our biggest crisis is, my computer went off over here with my notes. Our biggest crisis in the world is fighting God. You're like, fighting God? What are you talking about, man? Fighting God because we don't put enough trust, faith in him, that he's going to get us through this, that he might be the one that created the crisis because we needed a wake-up call. And that leads to the very, very next point. He puts us in crisis mode to see what we're made of. The grit, determination, builds our character to battle our way out of it. It's not easy. But you think about it, when you lift weights, you got to break the muscle down in order for it to recover to be stronger. Yeah. You go to a conference or you read a book. It's not you're breaking anything down necessarily, but your mind goes in a little bit of crisis mode because you're taking notes, you're learning something new. But that's how you get better at anything. A lot of times I'd ask the kids at the academy, I'd say, all right, so especially the beginning of a new school year, I'd say, all right, you're going, who's going into second grade this year? Kids are raising their hand. Who's going to third grade this year and fourth grade and so forth. And I said, all right, so everybody that's going into a higher grade, say third grade and higher, who wishes that your homework was still what you had when you're in kindergarten? And of course, the kids all put their hands up. Oh, that would be great. It's so easy. Oh, well, that would be so good. I'd get all A's and da 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 da, on and on. And I said, well, on the surface, yeah, it's easy. And you would probably get all A's. But how are you testing yourself? How are you ever going to get any smarter? And it's a crisis when you're learning something new, a kid or an adult. But that's how we better ourselves. Now, you ready for the next one? And it's kind of broken down into 4 C's. The first C was the crisis. The second C is commitment. Commitment. Commit to what? Commit to getting better. Commit to overcome, battle through that crisis. Commit to having the grit, the perseverance, doing what it takes for that change. And as I mentioned before, oftentimes we just want to get through the crisis and get things, quote, quote, back to normal. Well, if things were so good back to normal, we probably wouldn't be in the crisis. God wouldn't be sending us that crisis right now to help us move on. And most of the time, the crisis happen because of something we've neglected for a very long time. Like I said, we oftentimes don't hear God in his message in the light. We hear him in the heat, when he puts the heat on us. And I wrote this down. You're going to love this. It was fantastic. It says, God is not a prayer vending machine. Meaning, oftentimes we pray for stuff and we're like, oh, we're not getting it. That prayer stuff doesn't work. I pray and I pray and I pray and nothing comes of it. Well, God is not a prayer vending machine. Just because you put in a prayer, I want to win $1 million. You pull the vending machine. Oh, I didn't get it. Gosh darn it. Or the crane game. I want to win $1 million. Well, God's not a vending machine. And it's probably a good thing he's not, because we certainly wouldn't appreciate anything because we wouldn't have to work hard and put in the work for it. Popular post that I posted numerous times on our page there is a picture of a person in a field holding the shovel. And it says, God may give us the field. He may even give us the shovel, but he's not going to dig the hole for us. We got to be the one to dig the hole. We got to put in something to get something out. Is it a crisis? Well, if you want to grow a crop, the crisis is, well, man, I got to dig this hole. I got to put the seed in. I got to water it. I got to be disciplined about making sure it has plenty of water, keeping the weeds out, plenty of sunlight. But what happens when that harvest grows? Man, oh man, you appreciate it. Why do you appreciate it? You appreciate it because you know you put the work in, you did something. You got a good return on investment. And that's the commitment. Good, good, good. You liking this so far? Thought so too. And it also talked about, it's okay, parents, to tell your kids no every once in a while too. Even if you can afford it or you can give them something. A no every once in a while, it's not the worst thing in the world. Or having kids actually pay for something. And I get it. I wanted to give my kids everything I didn't have. And that's what you try to do. But if you become a vending machine, God's not a prayer vending machine, then it's not appreciated. I always encourage, if kids want something, yeah, you buy them stuff. I buy my kids stuff all the time. But I try and make them something big. What can we do to work toward it? What can you do to earn it? Or, hey, if you're going to keep your room clean, then we'll see about getting that thing. They're putting something in to get something out. And of course, that builds their character over the long haul. They realize that nothing in life is free. And just because you beg for it or you say a prayer, you're always going to get it. You're going to have the commitment to work hard. And then we move on to, what was the next C? The next C. Oh, so they had the crisis. Now we're going to make commitment to have that grit, determination, and willingness to work to get out of it. And this is beautiful here, is the confession. Now, men listening, this is tough for us. We think back to the fake it. We can fake it till we make it. We put on this charade. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm a man. I'm tough. Now, to be honest, yeah, as some generations are coming up through society, we could work on toughen them up a little bit, right? But that doesn't mean we need to be where the old school, where men can't cry, men can't be sad, men can't express their emotions and feelings. Because what that's leading to, you're faking it on the outside, but the inside, you're a mess. I just had a conversation with a good buddy about some of the struggles he's going through. And they've been going on for some time, but he didn't feel he could open up to anybody. And I know I've been plenty guilty of that, not being able to open up and say, hey, man, can I normally don't talk about this stuff, but I put a post out earlier today about I hadn't worked out in several weeks. I had a playing hockey. I'm playing hockey again. We won the Stanley Keg. If you listen to a previous podcast, you heard all about that. Never hoisted the Stanley Cup, but I have hoisted the Stanley Keg. Yeah. Hey, as a reminder, my goodness, we got a ton of friends online. Hey, if just throw something in the chat box, say hi. I'll give you a shout out. But anyway, I suffered an injury. I ended up tearing my left groin muscle. Ouch. Yeah. So I was shut down for a little bit. And I tell you, for an active person, and I'll go ahead and say it, I'm a hyperactive person. I was never diagnosed with ADD or ADHD or any of that stuff as a kid. I was just told to sit down, shut up, calm down. Okay, well, that really worked. But anyway, I'm quite sure I got it. And for when I'm recovering or nursing an injury, holy smokes, especially something, with a groin muscle, you can't do a whole lot of anything without it hurting. So I got a little complacent, and if I'm not active, my brain works overtime and it finds something to keep it active. And a lot of times it's going to drift down paths or go on roads or down rabbit holes it shouldn't go down. And sometimes it's tough to get out of. And the example I gave is, when you start to sink, it feels like you're in quicksand. And in quicksand, the more you fight, the quicker you sink. The key is try and relax and work your way out of it. Well, back to the confession, most men aren't willing to do that. We're not. Well, I'm not saying have a pity party. By all means, you all know how I feel about pity parties. And those that are new listening, pity parties, the worst party to go to is what? A pity party. Why? No one brings gifts. You know what they bring? More pity, trying to out-pity one another. That's not a party I want to go to. But at the same time, we got to be a man enough to admit if we need some help. We need to talk to someone and stop faking it on the outside. But the confession and confession, and I wrote this part of the notes, confession is a change of heart. And we have to get to a place, that crisis, that commitment to get better. And the confession is, I need to change. I want to change because I want a better life. I want to be, this is me personally, I want to be a better father, a better husband, a better speaker, a better motivator, do a better job of being more consistent with my live streams, my podcast. Yeah, those are my prayers. Those are things I want to get better at. But I need to confess that, look, crisis, I haven't done a podcast in 3 weeks. You may say that's not a crisis. Well, it is for me. And the commitment is I'm going to do a better job. The confession is I'm confessing to you that I haven't done as good a job as I need to be doing. That's tough. Open confession here. I mean, this is going out to thousands of people. But the whole reason for that is I'm expressing that I want to be as humble as I can, that I'm working, I'm learning, and I'm willing to share everything that I'm working on and learning to hopefully help you battle through. And I commented on a post earlier today when I shared a picture of a workout. I had a heck of a great workout last night. I went for a intense bike ride and stretched for 30 minutes in a garage, and it was good. My legs were really tender today, but it was good. And then I had a heck of a shoulder workout with my buddy Dave next door. And boy, 60 straight minutes of only shoulders. I didn't know you could do 60 minutes of just shoulders, but they're a little tender today. But what did it do? It freed up the mind. Right? I did release those endorphins, and the endorphins are your feel-good chemicals that make you feel good. Remind you, oh yeah, that's why I work out, because it's the only way to really release those chemicals, and they're free. Yeah, you don't have to pay for those. But it also helps you refocus, and oftentimes I have trouble with the focus part. So the confession, we got to have the heart in order to and be in a place to change. Now here's a big right hook reality for you. Oftentimes we like to blame others for our problems, right? A crisis comes along, it's somebody else's fault. And I'll tell you what, it's when you blame others, man, you feel better, don't you? Yeah, you blame somebody else for your problems. Feel better about yourself. It makes you feel better knowing that it's not you, it's them. It's my boss. It's my kids. It's my car. It's my life. It's my parents. It's easy. And man, do you feel good blaming somebody else? The only problem is it's just a small temporary good feeling. But at the end of the day, you know what's still there? Your circumstances, the situation. It never changed. Because in order to change the circumstances and to change the situation, you're going to have to do more than just blame somebody else. And guess what? The common denominator is for every single one of your problems. Can you guess what it is? It's you. And the common denominator for every one of my problems is me. It's like, no, 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 no. I had my parents. I had a rough childhood. No, I had this and that. You didn't have to deal with my dad. Oh my gosh. And maybe you did, but God's given you a lot of opportunities to work through that to get better. Yes, those were crises. Yes, you probably, well, maybe you did or didn't make a commitment. I don't know. Uh-oh. We got Tom. Tom, thanks for jumping on, buddy. You came to my school probably 10 years ago or so. Thank you for continuing to spread the great messages. Tom, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much for popping up and listening to me online on a Friday night. I appreciate that. And I thank you. That's why I keep doing this. And hopefully I'm getting better. That's what I'm working at. Good, good, good. So, but that's the common denominator with all our problems is us. It's hard to admit. All right, that's the third C. So let's do a review. First C was the crisis, whatever the crisis was that forced us to make some type of change. The second, Josh. Oh my gosh. Great message, Rich. Thanks, Josh. Love you, buddy. Tell the wife and kids I said hello. Good stuff, buddy. Hopefully, when I get back to Illinois, I get a chance to see you. And I got all kinds of friends popping up now. Maybe Friday night's the night I should do these from now on. Who knows? It's what time is it now? It's like almost 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And living on Central Standard Time my whole life, Eastern Standard, we're an hour ahead now. So, but anyway, the review, crisis, whatever the crisis is, God probably gave it to us in order to force us to change, because we don't change in the light, we change in the heat, of battle, the heat of crisis. Second part, commitment, what we're going to do to commit to making the change, the determination, the grit, the fight, the battle. We're going to do better. We're going to get out of this situation and make things better, because normalcy doesn't happen after a crisis. Something better comes along once you battle through. So the second one was commitment. The third one, where's it at? Confession. Being man enough to confess. This in the heart of confession, or I said it wrong here, didn't I? Yeah. Confession is a change of heart. So I guess that's the heart of the confession is your heart, right? And then the last one, you ready for this one? Can you guess what it is? When I tell you, you're going to say, oh, of course. Conversion. Conversion is you confess your flaws. We've all got flaws. Here, I got flaws. This is what I want to work on. We have to see those flaws. We have to confess those flaws on what we're struggling with, what created the crisis in the first place. And then, can you say how they all interlock? And then the commitment to do better. And then the conversion happens. Then the conversion happens. And here's the last thing I wrote down. You'll really love this, folks. God turns my messes and your messes, turns all our messes, listen to that word. God turns our messes into messages. Whoa. Just like I'm sharing this message with you. Yeah. Is that powerful? And that's why I want to jump on here tonight and just knock this baby out, because it really, really impacted me. And I was on the fence about going. No reason. Just thought, I guess I can go. I am so glad I went. Now, think about that for a second. How many times have you been like, I don't kind of want to go. I don't know if I should go or not. And then you end up going and you're like, gosh darn, I am so glad I went. So glad I didn't miss that. Well, I would have to say that 99.99999% of the time when it comes to church, going to a place where you can be around other people that are going to, or events, they're going to lift you and empower you. You feel better. You feel great. You're like, oh man, I am so glad I went. Of course, I wouldn't receive this message. And even better, a friend of mine lives in the neighborhood. He's been asking about checking out our church. And so we went tonight, and it was what he needed as well. Good stuff. It was something I posted the other day is you never know who is going to need the message from your mess. I didn't say the message from your mess, but who's going to need your uplifting on any given day. So you never know what positive message or impact your posts are going to have on someone. And I had another buddy that I was on his podcast last weekend, and he had posted something about getting the demons out of his head. Was the best thing was getting at it, lifting weights and working out hard. And I'm like, you're right. Of course I know that. We all know that. But for whatever reason, that message at that time, bang, was the right hook of reality that I needed. Man, I had 2 killer workouts, like I said, last night and then earlier today. Good stuff. So, quick review, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything I wrote in my notes. I listened to what I did tonight. Oh, obviously, everything we do here is this. Hopefully, it was another great lesson for you on how to overcome our fears, battle through our challenges to become what? Bully proof. And bully proof, for those new listening to the show, and you can see if you're watching the live stream, I got our walls done now with the books on there, and I even got my exercise videos back from the early 2000s up there, and my American flag from Grogan's Martial Arts that a family made for me, and then of course our new logo, Grogan's Bully Proof. It shows the kind of the passive defeated posture with the shoulders down, and then in the back, the shadow standing there with his hands on his hips, shoulders back, chest forward, head up. That's the empowered. And you see the shield around it. And that's essentially what Bully Proof is all about, building the inner spirit from the inside out, building hope, faith, confidence, self-worth, belief in self, and building that. It's going to radiate from the inside out. You can't fix what's going on out there. And that kind of relates to what we talked about earlier, that the common denominator with every one of your problems is what? You. Yeah. Oftentimes I've tried to fix the outside world when the inside is a total mess. Yeah. I got to fix inside first in order to get that message out. I got to be at my very best in order to produce at my very best. I got to be, and the guys out there listening, that's what we got to do. Oftentimes we pour, I've got a water bottle here, and if this bottle's empty, well, there's nothing for me to drink. I can't quench my thirst. Well, if we're empty, we can't share. We can't be our very, very best. If we're running on empty, we can't be the best father we want to be. If we're running on empty, we can't be the best husband. Running empty, we can't do whatever we do for a living at our very, very best, right? So we got to make sure we fill our bottle, hydrate when we need it. I talk a lot, and oftentimes I don't hydrate enough. But we've got to be our best. We got to make sure that our cup is full in order to pass that on. But that all starts from the inside out. Like I said, a lot of times you could fake it till you make it, and put on that facade. And but in the end, doesn't matter what's going on the outside, what it looks like, how perfect it may be. On the inside is what really, really matters. And we got to take care of that inside to be our very, very best. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. All right. Well, as always, and I mentioned it earlier, make sure you, if you haven't picked up a copy of Becoming Bully Proof, please do so. It's available in print, Kindle, and Audible now. Launched the Audible, I guess a month ago now, and I narrated it myself. I was excited to do that. It's always like when authors narrate their own books. So 3 different formats, ways to get this baby out. It's for ages 9 to about 15, 16, even older kids, and then definitely parents read it too. Great message in here. It's me as a kid meeting me 40 years later, and we go on a journey together where the older me is teaching the younger me from all the messes I had as a kid, the message on how to become bully proof. And then my other book, I Believe in Me, is a positive affirmation book for little kids. What's the page I just turned to here? We'll just give you one of these. We'll give you 2 of them. Like K, I Am Kind, and it shows a little boy helping another little. Where's the picture at? Oh, there's the one. I'm kind. And then the L is I am loved and I love others. So the whole idea behind this book, it's teaching little kids the ABCs. So learning the ABCs at the same time, they're learning a positive affirmation to help empower them, to believe in themselves, to establish that bully proof armor, stand up. And that's the whole part of the bully proof. The bully proof is, yes, helping kids stand up for themselves against any bully or anybody that's trying to hurt them, manipulate them, or take advantage of them. That's because kids who are empowered, they have hope, faith, self-worth, confidence, belief. They're not going to be taken advantage of. They're not going to be bullied. And I think anytime anyone, doesn't matter if it's a kid on the playground or anyone else who's trying to manipulate or take advantage of a kid, they're essentially bullying that kid because they perceive that kid is weaker than they are. And man, that drives me nuts, right? Yeah, I mean, come on. So we want that for our kids and parents. I want you to, I'm going to do everything I can to share the message with you so you can pass that stuff on to your kids to help empower them to stand up for what is right, stand up for what they believe in, even if they're standing alone. That's okay. Standing up. And that's essentially that's what the bully proof is all about, is that fortitude to stand up to, and I just like to say, every bully you face, both real and real on social media, or bullies on social media, and the meanest, nastiest bully is in our mind. Yeah, a lot of times I know I end up fighting ghosts in my head. Somebody in fourth grade told me I wouldn't amount to anything, so I've got to prove them wrong. And that was good Bobby Boucher tackling fuel for the longest time. It drove and pushed me to not give up. But then it got to the point where I'm fighting senseless battles in my own mind. No. So what I've tried to do over the past several years is every time I start to go there, and oftentimes I drift away. I mean, it's easy. It's got me to where I am now. And I became a heck of a, I'm not bragging here, but a good fighter, because people told me I wouldn't be. I was too small, too short, not good enough, not smart enough. Well, I'll show you. So it drove me and pushed me. And it's easy to go back there because I established some worth and some sense of credibility there. But now I want to stay, the next phase of my life is, instead of fighting ghosts in my head, I want to do what I can to help out others. So instead of wasting time, somebody on social media gives me a negative review or a negative comment, instead of me wanting to jump through the screen and punch them in the mouth. I know it sounds terrible, but that's something I feel that way. Gosh dang it, we're going to be respectful. I obviously can't jump into the screen, and nor should I just punch somebody in the mouth for a negative comment. But that's that fighter instinct in me. Like I said, it's something I'm battling, and it's easy to go there. But what I want to do to become better and to be my best is, like, you know what? I don't know what that person's going through. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they've got a horrible life. I don't know. Or maybe they're just being rude and a bully. But I'm not going to waste my time on it. I'm just going to delete the comment, block them, so I don't ever have to deal with it again. Gone. There's almost 8 billion people on the planet. Let that one person go. And therefore, I can spend my time, instead of arguing with somebody online about nonsense, I can spend my time delivering messages like this, or doing more research, or going to more men's night and taking a bunch of notes so I can deliver the messages to hopefully help empower others who are listening. Sound good? All right. Well, if you've picked up a copy of my books, I'm very grateful, very thankful. Please post a picture of you and your kid reading it. And if you would, please, if you really love the book, jump on Amazon and give me a 5-star review and a write-up. That really helps boost the book in the search engines, so more and more people will have access or gain knowledge to access the book to help empower others. Because our end-all be-all goal is to make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live, by empowering kids, parents, teens, and adults with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in themselves, overcome their fears, battle through their challenges, to stand up to every bully they face, both real and in their mind, so they can live their best kick in life. Think about that. Would that be good? Yeah, good stuff. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, for listening. This is episode number 327 on the Grogan's Bully Proof podcast. And if you watch the live stream, thank you for the comments and the feedback. This podcast will drop in the next couple days. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, it's available on all podcast apps now, Grogan's Bully Proof. So check that baby out. Subscribe to it so you're notified when any new podcast comes out. And we got Tom on YouTube, who and Josh, I know you always chime in on Facebook, and I'm very grateful for that. Make sure on YouTube you subscribe. We're going to start doing more and more and more with the YouTube channel, because I'm actually involved in a course right now on how to create better YouTube, definitely content, but videos, and help get the message out to the intended audience. Because right now we're not hitting a whole lot on YouTube, and I want to make sure we do a better job with that. So good stuff, everybody. Well, thank you so very much for joining me today, tonight, this afternoon, whenever you listen to this. I'm truly grateful. I love you. God loves you. Please share that love with the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best. And I promise you'll be your very best. You'll become bully proof. Yeah. And you'll live your best kick in life. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. Can't wait to chat again real soon. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for listening in today. I am truly grateful for your time. My goal is to empower 10 million people with hope, faith, and confidence to believe in themselves to become bully-proof. But I can't do it alone. So if you found value in this message, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it, and by subscribing and leaving a 5-star review. Remember to stay empowered throughout the week by visiting our social media channels, Grogan's Bully-Proof, and our website, grogansbullyproof.com. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to pick up copies of all our Bully-Proof books for yourself and someone you care about. Thank you again, and make it a blessed day.